Michael, we have a big show today. How are you doing?
Big show, long show. Let's go for it. Let's welcome everybody to AGTP Daily. Mark, we do this every weekday at
Yes,
11
yes.
a.m. Eastern Time. We're not going to stop doing that, are we? We're not going to
No,
stop,
no,
right?
no, 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 no.
And we want to talk about the biggest tech stories in the US that impact the rest of the world. I think that that's part of the fun of what we do. Today's Thursday, the 9th of July, 2026. Every time a month passes, I'm like, really? How's that possible? Anyway, let's get right to it. I think the first two stories are actually related, even
Yes.
though they're two separate companies. And I think that I have similar opinions on both of them, but let's get to it. So SpaceXAI launches Grok 4.5 and Meta releases Muse Spark 1.1. And they're both, I think, trying to do the same thing. And again, you tell me where you think I'm wrong here.
Yeah,
There's a lot to talk about here. But, part of the problem with the existing frontier lab models like OpenAI and Anthropic is they're just too expensive. And I don't think that that's an opinion that you and I are the only people that hold. I mean, the market is essentially telling them. And and to be fair, Martin, if you look at my X feed for today, there were plenty of people out there going, yeah, open source models. And there was an argument, actually, you could see it on X between people going like, you can't use those models anyway. And I was like, yeah, but it may force the hand of those guys to go open source anyway. So it's going to still have impact. But people are at least thinking about this. And,
Yes.
both SpaceX through Grok 4.5 and Meta with Muse Spark 1.1 are both going, yeah, the prices out there that people are charging are way too expensive. They're not open sourced per se. That would have actually been, I think, transformational. I think it would have been like a thunderbolt in the midst of like all this stuff if they were just like, you know what? We built these models. In SpaceX's case, they built this model with Cursor, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yes, yes, yes,
But
yes.
because
yes.
wasn't Cursor using Minimax?
So Cursor used Minimax for their composer model.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like they took Minimax and then they made something of it, right? Like I don't know exactly what they did, but they modified it. Okay. Like
Yep. Which you're allowed to do for an open source model.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the whole point.
So then they did this model that they call Composer, that is a version of Minimax. So that's what Cursor did. And here, I think that what's really, really interesting is that when I saw that for the first time, when I saw that SpaceXAI was launching Grok 4.5, I was like, wait, did they hire any researcher? Do they have anyone who is actually able to build a model that is as good as Opus? Because this is what they say.
Yeah,
They
that's what they're
say
saying.
their Grok 4.5 is actually on par with Opus and GPT 5.5, right? Like they say we are playing there into that type of model. And I was like, wait. Anthropic and OpenAI have been working on that for years. SpaceX, no, they haven't been working on that for years. So
It's crappy. Let's just say that it's not
yeah.
at the same pace as the other ones. Yeah.
Yep, definitely not. And so then I was like, how did they get just the team and the knowledge to be able to just build this? And so apparently all of this team and knowledge comes from Cursor. So Cursor actually had the capability to not only
they had their own research team.
Yes, they had their own research team to not only just fine tune and create composer out of Minimax, but also build their own models themselves.
Exactly.
Which means that the team from Cursor who basically used the compute from SpaceXAI to actually train Grok 4.5. So now the really one thing that surprised me so much, Michael, is the timeline. They have been able to do that so fast.
Well, let's be careful though. Be careful though, because I was gonna interrupt you before, but I wanted to have you finish the thought. Maybe Cursor's been working on this for a while before they got to XAI. And maybe that's one of the reasons why they were bought as well. Because we just sat there going, oh, this is just code completion, not code completion, but like code generation. But maybe they had more information than we did. And maybe that's one of the reasons why they paid $60 billion of free money for it, because they were like, we've done a whole bunch of research and we're very close to having a frontier lab style model that we think is going to perform close enough in these benchmarks.
Yeah.
To these other companies. Yeah. Maybe that's what happened. So, because I was thinking the same thing. They bought it like a week ago.
Exactly.
They have the frontier model. Like, that's weird, right?
So that's option one. And I definitely that's doable. Okay. Option two is that actually to build a model that's as good as Opus, it doesn't take that much time. And I kind of lean also to option two, because we see that in China they are able to just launch new models, not fast, but also really fast as well, right? So I really wonder actually what like is it actually really hard? I really asked the question: is it actually really hard, really long, and really expensive?
So one of the other stories that I thought might be trending tonight on X was if GPT 5.6 is coming out today, the rumors are that GPT 6 is coming out in like 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. Now, OpenAI probably has been working in tandem, which means in parallel, on both of these things together. But they're not wasting any time in releasing, or at least rumoring, the release of GPT 6.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, either of these things could be true. I'm leaning to option 1. You can lean to option 2. That's perfectly fine. But either one of them is still like it creates like an earthquake type event in the artificial intelligence space, because now you have, before we just had 2 companies, and we spent a lot of time talking about IPOs and all, so we can talk about that too, and what the impact of this is on both of those IPOs, which I think is very, very bad news. To me, this is like my prediction, like John Jones is never going to fight in the UFC again.
Yeah.
Where it seemed like he asked for $30 million. They're like, we got the $30 million. And he's like, no, you know what I mean? Like, well, not for that guy, for another guy. You notice how I left out the my prediction for Conor McGregor, right? But I mean, it's not Saturday yet.
Yep, it's not yet. He could still not fight. That's possible indeed.
But does it count? Let me ask you this though. It's a little bit of an aside, but does it count if he goes in and like gets knocked out or breaks his leg in the first 30 seconds? Does that count?
It counts. It counts. That's a fight. Yep.
Because he was in the cage. But anyway, you understand the point. This is that prediction.
But so right now, let's just do like a recap of everything that happened just this week, right? Like we got Fable that is, I think, full-time into the cloud subscription. It's not announced yet, but Anthropic is going to do very, very soon.
Do they have a choice now? Sorry, go ahead. We'll talk about it.
Like we discussed it yesterday, and we said they already don't have a choice with GPT 5.6, but now with Grok 4.5 and Muse Spark 1.1, I think there is absolutely no choice, right? Like the only way that you see on the XAI Grok 4.5 announcement, they only show that Grok 4.5 is less good than Fable. That's their way to say actually Fable is still better than us. So if Anthropic want to keep the lead, they need to let the access to Fable to the users. So right now, I think there is no choice for them. They are going to leave Fable into the subscription. They just didn't announce it yet. Maybe they still don't know it yet themselves. I think they still hope.
But I don't want to interrupt your just so go through, if you want to give details, go through details. But I want to talk about like
so we got Fable this week. We got GPT 5.6 this week, and then we got Grok 4.5, and now we also get Muse Spark 1.1, and it's all models that are pretty much at the level of Opus right now. I think that's absolutely insane. Like really, that's the first time that we have 4 models.
Dude, don't forget Zipu. Don't forget Zipu's model, right? GW whatever 5.2 came out, and everyone goes, it's the same as OpenAI and same as Anthropic, right? So that's also out there, even though it's not a US model, yeah.
And so that was like 3 weeks ago, right? So I'm so surprised by the pace of all of it, because also like Muse Spark 1.1, like when you look at it, like Alexander Warren, Michael, he joined Meta a year ago now in total, right?
And people were mad about it. Remember, even that guy quit. What's his name? Jan whatever. LeCun. He quit. He was like, I'm not working with this dude.
Yes. So he quit. Yeah, Alexander Warren only joined the team a year ago, and now in just a year, they have been able to build a model that, according to them, is as good as Opus and able to do the same thing.
So I can't be quiet on this. Sorry, Martin. It begs the question, because one of the things that we've been talking about for the last few months between you and I don't feel like everybody else has been talking about this, is this idea of like, where's the value going to accrue in the value chain for artificial intelligence? And it's if you can spin up a model in a year,
exactly,
if you just have enough resources, right? And that's money, compute, and the internal intelligence to actually build them, and you can do that in a year and catch up to everybody. And then if the Chinese can do it at a lower cost and then charge less money, for it because they're more efficient. What does it say about the value that's going to accrue to the models? We are right here, I think.
So let's talk about the price. This is like the next part of the story. Like besides the speed that is absolutely insane, the price is also absolutely insane. Let's just remember to everyone the price of Claude Opus first. Okay, Opus is, let me just get the right data so I don't make any mistake. But when you use Opus through the API, you pay $25 for 1 million output token. Okay, and for input, base input $5 for 1 million. So it's 5 for input.
What is
and
Grok?
25.
Do you have those numbers right in front of you?
I do.
Okay.
For
Grok, I have them. Go ahead.
It's $2 per 1 million token input.
Input, so it's 2.5 times less the price. And go ahead.
And for output, it's 6.
So it's $1/4, a little bit more than 1/4 the price.
Then for Meta,
go ahead.
For Meta input, $1.25 input and $4.25 output. This is the cheapest. How much is ZAI? You go ahead, Michael, why I do that.
So while you're doing that, I just want to make the point, because I just want to make one point, and that is, that's what they're charging.
Yes.
So we don't know what it costs them.
Yeah.
So the price to use it versus the price to produce that, we don't know what that difference is. So we don't know what the loss making is going to be, or the profit making is going to. So we don't know the answer to that question. But whatever it is, this goes back to that question we had with Amazon last night or the night before that says, like, how long can you be irrational in relation to how long I can be solvent?
So this is definitely one of the biggest questions, right? Like, we know that Anthropic and OpenAI are already losing a lot of money on the subscription, right? Like, and this is bad. I feel at least Anthropic is not happy about that. So how much money, if any, SpaceX and Meta are losing here, right? Like, or are they so much more efficient? But like, I mean, at this level, we are talking about like 3, 4, 5 times cheaper. So it's not like more efficient. It's like even Haiku, that is the cheapest model from Claude, is actually more expensive, right? Like it is like it's a very different paradigm, I think, like in terms of like how you see AI, how you charge for AI. And also, like, in the last couple of months, OpenAI have always launched a model just after, either at the same price as the new model of Anthropic or slightly more expensive. So they were like a way up, I would say, right? Like the frontier models back in 2025 were less expensive than they are right now, before SAI, before Meta. So so it was just like increasing, getting more expensive. Then Fable was twice more expensive than actually Fable is still twice more expensive than Opus 4.8, and now we are in a situation where we get stuff 5 times cheaper. It is so crazy to me.
So it almost feels predatory pricing to me, and I think that's the term you were thinking about last night, right? Is that the pricing is predatory. But here's the thing, though, Martin, right? And you and I, again, have been talking about this as well for months. What happens if a company that doesn't need to make money, and by the way, Martin, someone in the chat is telling us about the date. Did you see that?
I have just changed it. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Peter. That's very kind. But Martin, that predatory pricing is also predicated on the fact that a company like Meta, their net income in 2025 was $60 billion. That's net income.
This is so true.
So they can lose $30 billion. They can lose $17 billion. They don't care.
Yes,
and this is the leverage that they have. Go ahead.
And that's the income for last year, Michael, which means that during these 6 months of the year, they made another 30 billion, right? Like profits, right? So which means like every day that passes, Meta is making so much money that you are right, they can afford to go so cheap and to lose so much money. So then what's the goal here? Like the big loser is going to be Anthropic, right? Do they have the money?
Well, why not OpenAI?
Yeah, and maybe OpenAI as well. Like I think they raised more money. I think it looks to me that they are less concerned about being profitable. Like they do less actions, right?
I don't disagree with you.
Like they do much less action to try to actually get money from their client, where Anthropic has been really trying to get more money from their clients since 2 months. So
I mean, we were talking about this, right? Do you want to go through this again, just like one more time for the audience? And we can do this as much as we want. $9 billion run rate bragging about this at the end of 2025, $30 billion run rate bragging about it at the end of March of 2026, $45 billion run rate bragging about it sometime after that. And then, what's that sound you hear, Martin?
Crickets.
Crickets. I hear crickets, lots of cricketing. It's not even full summer yet. Oh, wait, it is. It's July.
Yeah. And Fabio has been bragging about their revenue during Q1. And since we are in Q2, they didn't announce anything. Just seconds. Everybody I meet, everybody we talk to who is using AI are all paying for the for the subscription. The era of token matching is over. Like I don't think right now anyone has fun to token match. I think it was just fun for during February, and then the CFO came back from holiday, and then everybody went down to the subscription. And I don't know who really is paying for the API right now, and that was the number one stream of income for Anthropic. So that's probably why they didn't talk at all about their revenue. Either it's like, not growing much, or even worse, maybe it's actually going down since their last announcement. And so that's why they tried to say to everyone on June 15. I will always remember that, Michael, because I think this was like a much bigger news that people talked about when Anthropic said during May, we are going to basically stop doing the subscription. If you want to use Claude as much as you do right now, you will need to pay for the API, and that is going to be done on June 15. And at the end of the day on June 15, maybe 4 or 5 p.m. like PT, so Pacific time, they send an email to everyone saying we are actually not going to change the price at the very last minute. And
they just did the same thing on the 7th.
Yeah, and then they said we are going to include Fable into the subscription until the 7th. Actually, no, we are going to do it until the 12th, and then they are going to say actually we do that forever. So that's why they are really trying to get people to pay for the API. That's what they think. They think they can get people to upgrade and to pay more. And on the other end, you have Grok that releases a model that's 5 times cheaper. You have Meta that releases one that same is 5 times cheaper. It is such a crazy day right now. As you say, it's release Thursday. And then we have
Thursday.
GPT 5.6 that is also going to come right now. I feel GPT 5.6 may be in a better position because once again they haven't done so many crazy things to try to get us to pay for the API. So it looks like OpenAI is less worried. So they may be the one who dies second. They may be the one to have enough money to last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But here with SpaceXAI and Meta releasing their model, and you are right in the chat, we got to be a little bit careful about the benchmark. If the benchmark are true, and that's still a bit cheap because we didn't try the model ourselves, if they just been released right now, so we got to be a little careful about how are they actually going to be used in the next couple of weeks. That's true.
So I was going to say, it depends what you're optimizing for, right? So in this case, and I put this in my notes too, Martin, like, are you optimizing for benchmark performance, or are you optimizing for real world performance, right? Because those things can be wildly different. You know what I mean? Wildly different. And here's the other thing too. And we've been pointing this out, but now we see the reality. We don't have to guess anymore or presume or assume anymore. It takes longer. Like again, we talked about this. What's the one thing that OpenAI and Anthropic are both missing? It's the compute. They don't have their own compute. They've got to go out and rent it. And here's the other thing too. They both have agreements with Colossus 1 and Colossus 2 to do it, which gives SpaceXAI massive leverage, because SpaceXAI can be like, you know what, we don't need your money. Actually, we're just going to rip up that contract. Now you don't have compute, but now all the compute is going to go to us, and we have compute, and now we have models, and we have code stuff that we can use to compete against you. And we have rockets to put our data centers in space. What do you guys have again?
Exactly. It is crazy. It is crazy. Like right now, like once again, if the model really works, like if tomorrow I can install Grok 4.5 and I can use it for a fifth of the cost,
Right.
I mean, this is insane to me. Like this is absolutely crazy because first of all, this model are pretty much on par with the price of ZAI. That's pretty much the same price. ZAI, they charge $1.40 for 1 million token input and 4.4 for output. Okay,
Right.
so this is pretty much the same, like the same type of pricing. We're not at $25 or $50 output like Anthropic and OpenAI wants to charge us. So it's way cheaper, and yeah, and there Grok and Meta, they are in this price point. So let's see where that goes. Which, by the way, a few days ago, also, Mario, we should also say that. But last time when we checked, ZAI stock valuation, which is actually, I think, pretty important, because ZAI only does the model, right? Like they have only a model, and they are currently valued on the Hong Kong stock markets at, let me just get the number right. ZAI market cap. Okay, let me check the total market cap of 900 billion right now.
Yeah.
With a model that is pretty much in the same pricing as Muse Part 1.1 and Grok 4.5.
Right. And I want to make a point to that my math skills are not that good, but 900 billion sounds to me to be, that's less than a trillion, yeah? Still? In the base 10 mathematical system, in the base 10 number system.
Yes. Still less than a trillion.
That's a problem. It's a problem. So if, again, let's go back and do some analysis on the IPO stuff we've been talking about for months. If you look at OpenAI, who wants to have an IPO at one point, somewhere between 1.25 and 1.5 trillion dollars, right? Which still would be lower than where SpaceX is today. SpaceX IPO to 135. It's now trading 150, which is way off its high of 200 and something.
Did they go up after this announced?
It's essentially flat today.
Flat today. Okay, that's interesting.
It's up $1.95, but I mean that's like 1%.
Okay.
And it's fluctuating around like a 150.
Okay,
but if you look at where it closed yesterday, so if it's up, give me 1 second. If it's up $2 today, it closed at 148.30 yesterday.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which is a bad number.
Yep.
Bad number. So Jan was joking about the token max and grannies. I actually sent you a the image that we created 2 days ago on this.
Actually, I found a tweet a few days ago, and Jan, I thought about that.
Mark, you should show them the image that we created. I sent it to you again.
Look at that. That's the token matching grannies. I was thinking about that. I was like, this is so perfect for this idea. They are just token matching all day, which I think is gone. But yeah, that was pretty funny idea.
So Martin, can I answer this question? Because I want to talk about IPOs in a second, but Jan asked a really good question about it. Is there any chance that Anthropic or OpenAI can make money apart from API usage? So I would say in the short to medium term, no. And we talked about this in the context of the drug stuff, right? In other words, Pfizer, I think we went through this yesterday, has 75,000 employees. Even if only half of them remain, if like, let's say they say, well, we can use artificial intelligence to develop new drugs. Okay, that's great. But who's going to distribute them? Who's going to sell them? Who's going to do all the testing that's necessary to make sure that those drugs actually work? And what's going to stop Pfizer from employing, excuse me, Mythos or any of these models that are not freely available? You can pay for them to do the same sort of research. And they understand how drug research works way better than Anthropic does or OpenAI. And nothing's going to stop them from using the same models that they have, unless they don't sell them to drug companies. But then again, they're going to have to buy the drug company. And where did we say, what was it, $60 billion, I think, was the market cap for Pfizer? I don't remember.
140, something like that.
139 billion, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
so they could buy it Thanks, guys. Okay, thanks. Thank you. And I think that's the problem with them saying like we can concurrently get API access money, but then we're also going to like disintermediate the drug industry. Because think about this too. Google, let's just use Google as a proxy for companies that have a lot of data and have been threatening to disintermediate other massive industries like travel, like booking restaurants, like insurance. And over time, they just haven't been able to do it because they don't have systematically the ability to do distribution, sales, and other things. They have all this other data, but they've never been able to crack like the travel business because Agoda's there, Booking is there,
It's hard.
Expedia is there, and it's hard. And they just don't have the embedded expertise to be able to do that. It looks easy, but at the end of the day, it's super hard to run an integrated travel business, even if you have all this data.
Yeah, there's not a lot of example of successful successful like companies like this who are doing something and then they went into something else and it worked great. There's not a lot of example. There's more example of companies who had something who failed and then pivoted and used their internal resources to do something else and it worked better, but they always fail first. I think otherwise there's not a lot of very big companies who became giant this way.
So I want to make a point about this too. Like Lemonade, which was a big kind of well-funded insurtech company, came running out of the gates a couple of years ago saying that they were going to disintermediate the entire insurance industry. And then they were like, oh, our loss ratios are too big. Maybe we should just maybe we should do AI. Do you know what I mean? So it looks really easy from the outside. They're like, we'll just make a better cake. And then they're like, oh, but no one knows we make cakes. Who's going to buy our cakes? No one actually buys our cakes. We don't even have a bakery. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So you can try to do this, but there's no really good example of this working for complex and regulated industries, which the drug industry is regulated too. You can't just rock up with a new drug and be like, we win. It's just not the way it works, I think.
I feel like if we just want to do this exercise a little bit longer, I think it's much more likely than company like Pfizer, for example, buy Anthropic and then close source the model, stop selling it, use it, and then use it for themselves. Basically, they just buy the research team to build a model, to build models just for them that are not available to their competitor, and they believe they can get an advantage at doing that, and then they're going to make a lot of money by actually augmenting the know-how that they already have, right? I think this is much more likely to happen.
What price do you think Pfizer would pay for Anthropic?
They're not going to pay $1 trillion for sure. Never.
Exactly. So that's the right answer. That's the right answer, right?
Never.
Maybe they'll pay $10 billion for it.
Yes, maybe 10. Yeah. So that's what
actually, Martin, you're a mathematician, and I don't say that sarcastically at all. No, I'm not saying it to be funny.
Tell me.
They could probably do a discounted cash flow model.
Yeah.
And say, what do we think the future earnings that this would give us that would accelerate our future earnings based on the ability to do better research? So if we buy it today, what would we pay today? But what would we forecast we would make going forward? Maybe just $100 billion.
Yeah.
So maybe they'd pay $100 billion, but they're not paying $1 trillion.
Yeah. No.
Right? They're not paying $500 billion either. So the point is, it's much more likely, and let's make an equivalency here. SpaceXAI was not even really an AI business before 3 weeks ago.
No. Yeah.
Because nobody was using their artificial intelligence.
Yes.
But they went out and paid $60 billion, which they probably did a little bit of DCF. That's the discounted cash flow stuff, right? On Cursor, and said, what are they going to make over time? And that's probably how they came up with that price, at least part of that calculation, right? So it's much more likely that a space company is going to buy an AI company than an AI company buys a space company. And in this case, I think it's much more likely that a drug company buys an AI company, just the research capability, than the AI company buys a drug company, because now they're going to have to buy a drug company, a car company, a space company. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
There's not enough resources out there to do that.
Yeah. I think it's much easier to integrate the research team into an existing workflow, into an existing distribution mechanism, etc., and so on. So that's why maybe Pfizer is too small for doing this, but an insurance company would make a lot of sense. They have tons of data. They need to process a lot of their data. Like maybe like they could pay much more, maybe. So,
but also like change management is one of the big, and it's not talked about a lot, but it's one of the biggest problems that these big companies have, right? So just imagine a situation where Anthropic buys a drug company. Let's just use again Pfizer as a proxy. Who's going to manage it? Because some guy who has a PhD in like drug making, I'm just making it up because it's probably in chemical engineering or something, right? Is going to report to some 23-year-old dude who has a, who has a degree in computer science. It's just not going to happen. That kind of work environment is just not going to work. But in reverse,
it's much more likely.
It's much more likely that the research guy from Anthropic is going to be like, sure, I'll listen to Bob, who has a PhD in chemical engineering, because he's been building drugs for the last 30 years. And I use some of them. You know what I mean? Like my grandfather took that heart drug, whatever it is.
But for this to happen, I would say that there is something interesting here that we can say. And we haven't talked a lot about that on the show, but to me, it's pretty interesting that these companies launch models and they plan to basically make money through token sales. Like I was not bullish on this business model at all. I thought like the token sale business model is going to just go away. But here it looks like SpaceXAI and Meta, they both think that they are going to make money by selling token.
They're wrong.
First of all, I think we have to keep something in mind is that it's two companies who have compute. Okay, they have data centers, they can host their model themselves, and they probably have excess compute to be able to actually do all of these things. It's not just random guys who have nothing else, right? Like Anthropic and OpenAI, they don't have compute, they don't have their own data centers, they rely on a partner or they are client of these big hyperscalers. That's not the case here for neither Meta or SpaceXAI. Okay, so that's I think something really, really important. And so I find it very interesting that they believe they're gonna make money through token sales, first of all, and second, that they didn't open source the model, because as you said, Michael, that would have been a massive moment if one of these models were actually open source.
Would have been like, a lightning bolt inside this industry, yeah?
Yes, that would have been a really, really big lightning bolt, exactly. So maybe they don't do it yet. Maybe they try to make a little bit of money before the token business model goes away, maybe, right? Or they see something really different and they really believe into this business model. I don't see how they can believe into the business model, to be honest. It looks like everybody wants subscription. Everybody is going to pay for subscription. Even people take 3, 4, 5 subscription if they have to avoid paying for the API. Like we are into this situation right now where people avoid the API at all cost. I would say they are going to take 5 subscription to be able to get $25,000 of credit and just pay $1,000 for it. So that's the interesting part for me here. Like, it looks like we are not going for the API, but they release for the API. Maybe they're gonna launch a subscription then. Maybe they are going to open source them in a couple of months. This is going to be something to watch out, I think.
So Jan is making a really good point, and I want to respond to this, Martin.
Go ahead.
Do you want to respond to it as well?
No, go ahead. I didn't read it yet, so
his first comment here says, maybe let's get away from who buys whom, but they could come up with platforms, meaning the existing frontier model labs could come up with platforms that the biotech companies or legal firms could buy licenses for building their own products. That's true today. But everything gets cheaper over time. And again, if SpaceXAI can spin up a model that's general, that's a sort of generalistic LLM in a short period of time, I think over time what's going to happen is companies are just going to build their own artificial intelligence internally because it's just going to be so cheap to be able to do it that over time they're not going to have to, there is not going to be a business about outsourcing the construction of a large language model. What's going to happen is that legal firms are going to figure out they don't need all those parameters, which means they don't need the same level of compute, which means they don't need the same level of research team for all this stuff. And then at some point, either the legal world is going to get together and build it themselves, or each individual gigantic law firm is going to go out and hire some researchers and build that for themselves the same way the biotech companies or the drug companies are going to do for themselves. And then they're not going to have to pay for it, because the money that they invest in paying these companies to do it that aren't specifically built just for drugs. And I understand the MOE, right? That you don't have to use all of the parameters. But Martin, we're going to get to a story afterwards talking about like how Apple wants to be able to run models on device. If that becomes possible, that also means that the models themselves are going to be smaller, more efficient, cheaper to run, and blah, blah, blah. And that means to me that these gigantic companies with big cash flows and law firms, these big global law firms have tons of cash flow.
Yes.
They're going to build their own models.
And this is why I'm showing Michael right now, Thinking Machine Labs, because this is all the super interesting questions around what does AI V2 look like, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
And there are a lot of people who are currently building another way to use AI. For example, Thinking Machine Labs, right? They are betting, basically, they believe that they will be able to fine-tune a model to actually get a base model to a point where it can do exactly what you want. So we can, as Michael said, we can imagine some sort of base model plus plugins, like for example, the base model just speak English, and then we add French, and then we add mathematics knowledge, and this type of stuff, and then we fine-tune the model using your own data or using a subset, for example, of the law and all the past trial of the last 200 years in the US, for example, and then we can really customize something towards our exact use case instead of having a model that can speak absolutely every language, and we don't need any of them, basically, right? And that's the same for a lot of other example. Opus, Fable, GPT-5, 5.6, and all of them, they can do 99% stuff that we never use. We just use like the thing that we need, and everything else we never use it. So which means that we don't need all of these parameters. And so that's some of the inefficiencies, I would say, that are built inside this version of AI. And there's a lot of people who are building different ways to use AI, different ways to see AI, different ways to build AI. And so that's why I think that this is part of that. Like, what does that look like? What is it going to work? What is going to be also commercially viable? What does the people want? And there's a lot of questions right now. A lot of people who are building this thing, we don't know yet, but once again, it's all things completely different than what we have right now. And so that's what makes, I think, all of these questions around AI v2 really interesting.
Yeah, and it may be the case, Martin, you're right, that these big frontier lab companies actually take a licensing fee to develop the models, right? Let's say these big law firms don't want to build their own models, but they want to have their own model. They could like outsource that building to Anthropic or to, maybe they just become service companies, right, to build this stuff. But more importantly, it could also be the case. I can imagine a world where, like, think about this. A company like Mercedes or Audi or General Motors or Honda, you may or may not know this, right? But they work together with their suppliers to build like little pieces of their car. Like the lights are sometimes not like the tail lights, which look kind of cool today. The door handles, the seats, like one of the largest seat makers in the world is in the UK. The car companies don't design their own seats. They work with companies to do that. But again, where does all the value accrue? The parts makers make money, but the car companies make a ton of money.
Yes.
Right. So this, again, I think gets back to this much larger question. I think we have to talk about it because we haven't spoken about it yet tonight. And that is, and I want to do this in order. One is, so somehow this model that Grok just put out and the model that Meta just put out, it's not, neither one of them are too dangerous.
It's true. We didn't speak about that at all.
Not too dangerous. Their models are safe.
Yep, they are.
Okay.
They are.
No,
not
I feel better now. Okay,
no problem for them, Michael. No problem for them.
No problem. And even if this model's safe, the next one they come out with isn't going to be too dangerous to release. It just seems weird to me. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I want to be in these meetings where Anthropic is like, we're going to rent an entire 16-floor building in Manhattan to double our to double down on the people we have in New York to 1,000 people, even though we're not bragging about our revenue anymore, right? That just seems weird to me. And I want to be in the meeting where they're like, they decide that that's okay, but that they're arguing internally about, are we just going to be subscription only, guys? Or are we just going to keep extending this 5 days? Is it 5 more days? Is it 2 more weeks? What's going to happen? And there are 3 people in this meeting, Martin, who are going, has anybody heard of open source? Like, you really want to throw a spanner in the works here? Let's just open source everything and see what the rest of the industry does.
Yeah, I think the first to open source something is going to first force everybody to do the same thing, right? And I still believe that the open source will come from the hyperscalers. It will come from AWS. When Big Brother will want to take charge of business, they will force either OpenAI or Anthropic or both of them to open source.
So can I make a bet with you? I think it's going to be Elon Musk and Grok.
Okay.
This is
possible as well. They are crazy. I agree. They are crazy. They could have.
And how much more money? Like, does Elon Musk really care if the valuation of any of his companies? He's already a trillionaire. Like, why does he care?
But plus, it would be a massive bet to gain massive market share.
Sure.
Michael, let's not forget what we said 2 days ago, which is today. I mean, in June 2026, so last month, the market share of Chinese models on Open Router were 44%. Okay, 45% of all the requests that goes through Open Router goes to Chinese open source models. It is massive, right? So it's of course not the entire subset of everybody who use AI in the world, but still, like it is like a lot of people who use their platform, a lot of API calls, and already half the market may be using open source models.
Right.
Half the market, right?
Right.
So if you want to address this market, you get to be open source as well, right? And now you are, what do? You do closed source and you told to half the market, or you do open source and you told to half the market, right? Like, it's pretty much the same, right? And so plus, it's much more likely that open source is going to gain much more market share, because as of now, open source are also much cheaper and much cheaper. So even though you use them by yourself, or you use them through the API, or you use them through Amazon Bedrock, or all the FDEs that are going to be deployed by Amazon and by Microsoft, who have the possibility to implement into your company every model available. I think we are going to see also Grok 4.5 in Amazon Bedrock, and in the other offers that are similar. And these guys, they can implement any model they want into your company, and they don't care, because they sell the compute, they sell the hosting, they sell the servers. So the longer you use the AI, the longer they charge you for the servers, and they are going to be really happy about that. So yeah, no, you are right. Grok could have been the first open source, and maybe will be, maybe in 2 days. Elon Musk say, actually, guys, we open source it. That would be crazy.
Can I give another? This is like one of my favorite things to do. I feel like this is becoming my my signature move.
Tell me.
Again, I think if you don't understand the way technology companies work historically, you're going to miss this. So let me just run through this with you. In 1982, Sun Microsystems was founded. A guy named Andy Beckelsteen said we should use Unix workstations, and he built this thing called Sun 1 while he was obviously a graduate student at Stanford in Palo Alto. Okay. And that version of Unix that they built, it was a Sun workstation version of Unix, became the prevalent. I actually went to Sun training in New York to learn how to be a Sun Unix systems administrator for a floor that had, at Morgan Stanley, at least 100 machines. That at the time was like way ahead of its time. What do you think the valuation today is for Sun Microsystems?
No idea.
Well, it went bankrupt in 2010. And part of the reason why is because Unix was out there going, I mean, not Unix, Linux came along, Linus Torvalds came along and goes, I'm just going to run an open source, because Unix itself was open source. It was like, I'm just going to build an open source model of a Unix operating system. And now Linux is one of the most used things on the back end for a whole bunch of processing, and Sun doesn't exist anymore. So what's going to stop? So if you think that like Anthropic and OpenAI are the Sun microsystems of models of LLMs, well, then who's going to build the open source model that's going to destroy them so that at some point they're no longer the face of artificial intelligence models, but somebody else is, and that is an open source model. And remember, Red Hat took Linux, we talk about this a lot, and said, let's turn it into a service company and we'll help people use Linux in the same way that people need help running these LLMs. And that's what I think is going to happen. And I'm willing to sit here for the next 3 to 7 years, or as the kids would say, the next 6, 7 years, so that we can see that this thing is going to play out the same. But I do think it's going to happen faster than that. And I'm surprised, actually, when you showed me the Grok 4.5 stuff today. I thought the big news was going to be not that it was cheap, but that it was going to be open sourced.
Yes. I think this is the one big thing that surprised me, that they do token sales and they are not open source. Once again, let's say they are not open source yet, right? Like maybe it's going to change. Maybe it's not going to be Grok or Meta who go open source first, and maybe OpenAI says, okay, let's go, we do it first. I don't see Anthropic doing it. Like, I think Anthropic is still trying to IPO now. I think they are still trying to IPO. That's their I think this is so much their speed run to IPO, and they really want to exit, and they have to, and for all the reason that we discussed on this show in the last couple of days, I think they still try to IPO. And that's why I think they're not gonna open source. But OpenAI, Meta are crazy as well. Like Mark Zuckerberg, Michael, is ready to misspend a couple hundreds of billions. I just
ready to lose. Like he said, I don't care if we lose a couple hundred, but Mark Zuckerberg also just flipped on his AI glasses too, saying we're going to turn that into a for-pay platform. Yeah. And I think it would be weird for them to be the ones to open source stuff, because they've always been, what is this called? A gated garden, a closed garden. What's the word that people use?
I don't know.
You know what I mean, though, right?
Yes.
Both. So sorry, Jan. Good question. Both. I think it's going to be both, because if you open source something, you almost by definition have to open weight it, because now everyone's going to know what the weights are, and that then allows you to tweak it so you can change the weightings inside the models as well if you think that that benefits you. So I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive in this context. Is that fair? That's a question to you directly, Honest. Do you think that's fair or no?
Yep. I think this is, yeah, let's see how it goes, because like Michael, you said, like, let's see who is going to be the first one who is going to do it. I think the first one is actually already here. That's GLM 5.2. It's already here.
It is, but it's not a US model, and it may not be available in the United States. That's the biggest problem, right?
Yes. But yeah, I don't know for how long they would still be able to yeah, I really wonder like how they are going to be able to sustain it for how long, and who is going to move the first, basically. Yep.
Can I just make one more point about this? So you keep talking about the IPO, right? I'm convinced that neither one of these companies is going to be able to IPO in 2026, meaning Anthropic or OpenAI. And again, I'm curious what the chat thinks about this as well. But even if they take the risk and go to market, I think they're going to get, as we would say in the market, carried out. They're going to get carried out on a stretcher. And I do remember, Martin, we talked about like how do these IPOs work, and they're probably in the process of doing it right now. They're going on a roadshow, right? They're going out and asking investors, like, what would you pay for this? And I think that the price investors were going to pay for this even yesterday or 2 days ago is higher than it would be today. And part of that reason is because of the release of 4.5 for Grok and Meta releasing 1.1 of Spark Muse. Those two things didn't exist yesterday. It's like basically doubled the competition and lowered the price of everything.
Yep. It's pretty crazy. Like now the competitive landscape is actually absolutely insane. And once again, let's just assume that the benchmark that they are showing us are true. Okay, like let's just say that the models are great, that they are working fine. We are going to see in the next couple of days and then next couple of weeks how the models actually perform and in real condition before we can really like give any conclusion regarding the overall competitive landscape. But there's also something that's true is that when good enough work, then for a lot of company is if good enough is 5 times cheaper, that's fine, right? So yeah, so now definitely you have these two models on the market. We get to try them. We get to wait a couple of days and weeks to see how good they are, and and then if they are good, if they are good, it is just another possibility on the market to pay just 5 times cheaper. So this is absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So I'm going to make another. I'm just going to. I don't want to call this a prediction. I did say this last night, and probably the night before too. And I think I wrote it in one of the articles as well. And I think I commented about this on X today, Martin. But I do think that one of these, if not a few of these frontier lab models, are going to be open source by the end of the year.
Yeah. Yep. So actually, like, let's maybe be fully accurate. And thank you very much, Ian, for actually correcting us. We should say open weights. That's actually what we mean. Exactly. Yes, because like most of the model right now, they are mostly open weight, not really open source, and so that's like more like the standard. So yeah, so we say open source, but we actually really mean open weight. So yeah, thank you very much for the correction. It's more accurate.
Yeah, but I think it's a distinction without much of a difference. But yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, but it's also possible that it goes one step further and then they go fully open source, right? But if at least they want to do the same thing as the Chinese, but once again, I think this is going to depend on the hyperscaler. At the end of the day, it's Amazon, it's SpaceX, it's Meta who have the compute who are going to decide how do we make money with the models. Can we make money through token? Yes, no. Can we make money through the subscription? Yes, no. Do we make money just by selling compute? Just like we have been selling cloud offering since 25 years. What is going to be the best model for them for massive adoption of AI, right? Like we are not talking about just the 0.1% of the people who are in the tech bubble. We are talking about everybody else, right? Like all the insurance companies, all the banks, all these guys who have a million more problem than we have. They need more things. Like right now, there is too many problems to implement AI into an insurance company. So they need more things. And what is it going to look like for them? And this is going, I think, to define how we are actually going to use AI. And that's going to be decided by the hyperscalers. And that's why I'm so, like, that's something to note here, that it's two companies that have compute power. Like they are doing compute as well.
And can we make another point about what Meta did too? Because I think it's very strategic as well. And it's also very commercial.
Yeah.
So if you had talked about Muse Spark like a week or two ago, you would have thought of it as like a consumer first AI assistant.
Yes, that's the free AI we have in Facebook, in Instagram, in WhatsApp, that it's all free for everybody.
But they turned it into a developer facing platform model. Do you know what I mean? Like they really completely changed it. And if you had, people were, I wouldn't say making fun of them, but they were skeptical about like this $135 billion commitment this year to invest in artificial intelligence. And I think what they're telling you is, we're not just investing in it to make Facebook better or to make Instagram better. We're making this investment to compete at the platform level with our corporate clients, which we actually already have plenty of them. Remember, both Anthropic and OpenAI had to build infrastructure to be able to reach out to corporates in a way that Facebook doesn't have to do, because they already have an ad relationship with them. And they're I think they're the largest advertising company in the world, because they beat Google this year for the first time, if I have that right?
Yes. That's the first time in 2025 that Meta is actually the number one online platform to make money for ads. Yep.
Right. So if they've changed this now into a commercial facing platform, they already have at least relationships internally. So they deal with the ad and the marketing team, and they can just go, hey, do you guys have a tech team as well? Because now we can help you do these other things. You and I have spoken about this before. It's not that easy, but it's easier, I think, for them to do that than it would be for OpenAI and for Anthropic, who only have one product and don't have any long-term relationships that have proven to have any value. I mean, these big companies wouldn't increase their spend on Facebook every year if they didn't have some value for them, right?
Yes. Definitely. And I think majorly here there's also another part to that,
Go for it.
which is, if I remember correctly, in the token machine era, I think Facebook was one of the largest spender on clothes. They were using clothes, they were spending tons of money. And I think one day they just said, you know what, let's just build our own thing.
Exactly.
Maybe actually they got to the point where it got so expensive for them internally that it was actually making sense to build something because at least they got all the cost for themselves.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that would be probably the first example of a large, okay, sure, a large tech company who have the resources, who have the compute, so they can do that. But that would be the first example
Building their
of
own model.
somebody
Yeah.
who actually go ahead and then build their own model to first of all like cut their expenses and then actually create a product out of it. And which means maybe we are going to see that more and more, not tomorrow, but in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, right? Like what does AI V4 look like once we have much better computer, much more efficient chips, much better servers? Are we actually going to be able to do the exact same thing that
Absolutely.
Meta just did right now? Right?
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, Martin, I've actually implemented this in my own life, right? I've stopped going out to dinner. I've started cooking at home, and it saved me a ton of money.
That's a good example. That's a good example,
I'm
right?
serious. It's not a joke.
Yeah,
It saved me a ton of money.
And then if you open a restaurant, Michael, then you're actually going to make money through your cooking.
How did you know?
and so that's the progression, right? You stop spending your money at the restaurant, you learn how to cook, and then you open a restaurant.
So I'm going to open a French restaurant. I'm going to call it M&M.
Exactly, yeah.
Not clear which M stands for which name, but you understand the problem. You understand the idea here, yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I think these two announcements are fascinating, because we just see the models, but that's just the surface. But to me, it raises so many questions about what's going on behind the scene. Are we doing open weights? I got it right this time. Are we still believing in the subscription? How fast they build it and how much it actually costs them, which means how fast we are going to see the next one. Can a new player enter because it's actually now cheap and fast to do it? Can new players enter? Because if it's fast and cheap, then maybe we are going to see even more and more models. And the Chinese have already shown that it could be more efficient. Did SpaceX and Meta achieve the point of actually being more efficient as well? So which means maybe we are going to see even more models released in the next 1 year, right? Like there's so many questions here behind the scene of like, how did we get there? And this is, once again, like this is first of all really interesting, really good for us as a user. Like I think 2 months ago I was really scared about, because I was like, now our entire business depends on AI. Like really now we can't do our work at all without AI. And it looks like our bill is going to go up like crazy.
Right.
I was feeling like it's just going to go up and up, and we are going to spend so much money. And I think somewhere since a month ago, I'm actually now super comfortable. I don't know if it's gonna go down because the Jevons paradox, I think, is true, and we are just going to use it more and more. So but it's going to stabilize around what we are doing right now or less. It's not going to 10x.
Again, I was just going to mention Jevons paradox as well, but the idea here, right, is that the cheaper it gets, the more you use. So your usage is going to stabilize at a certain cost to you. But I think over time, I mean, Martin, think about this. When I remember when one of the guys upstairs when I was in college bought like an IBM PC. And this was in like the 80s. Yeah. So it's a long time ago. It cost him like $6,000. And that was a lot of money back then. But if you spent $6,000 today on a computer, like think about what we paid for our PC.
Yeah. The super strong PC that does everything today.
It was half the price of that.
Yes.
And you couldn't even buy that. Like you couldn't conceive of that when when that kid bought his original computer. But the point is that like everything's going to get way cheaper.
Way more efficient,
and way more powerful, and way more efficient. And like, what would stop Undercover Media from then getting a research team and building their own models?
Exactly.
At some level, right?
or maybe someone is going to build a solution to make that simple and fast and cheap, right? And I think this is the next step of what Thinking Machine Lab is doing, right? Right now they are trying to help you fine tune a model. Okay, so I don't know if it works with open source or open weight to be very accurate, but the idea is that they take a model and then they fine tune it to exactly what you need. Okay, and so I think the next step to that is actually to go maybe one step further and say, okay, maybe can we train a new model from scratch for you, or can we just use a very tiny model and then customize it with some sort of plugins, for example, where we can add this, add that, and then add your own data on top of that. I don't see why all of these approaches can't at least be tried, right? Like I think they made sense. It's possible that in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it works really, really well. I think we have to try them to see if it works or not. Because to me, it makes a lot of sense. And it's possible that it actually works, right? If Thinking Machine Labs is successful at making fine-tuning super, super cheap, because that's what they want to do, because right now we can fine-tune, but it's really, really expensive. What they want to do is to make that super cheap. If they can do that and they can make it available to everybody, that can change once again the entire landscape and how we use AI, right? And so once again, so many questions, so many new things going on, and now I'm confident that we are not going to pay much more for our AI, so we can build in peace.
So, Martin, I wrote down the names of the model companies that we've mentioned on the show already today: Google, Meta, SpaceX, OpenAI, Anthropic. We kind of hinted at Perplexity, but didn't mention it. There's one company that we haven't mentioned yet, and I think we should talk about it because it fits in. It's a good segue into what you were just discussing, and that is Apple.
Apple. Perfect.
So Apple has been exploring ways to make much larger AI models run directly on iPhones. We've spoken about this on device for a long time. And they were talking to a company called Prism ML because it points to something really important. And again, you were hinting at this a moment ago, taking a model and compressing it rather than simply waiting for faster chips or pushing more requests out to the cloud. Apple's very specific for a bunch of different reasons of why they want to run stuff on device. And again, AMD is working on this. We know that NVIDIA is working on this as well. But this idea that they can compress these large models into much smaller memory footprints and still preserve the reasoning and coding performance fits into exactly what you were just talking about.
Exactly.
Right? And they've done some testing with Qwen, and they've been running it with 4 gigabytes on an iPhone 17 Pro, which is not even meant to be running AI models on device yet because they don't have the newest A chips, they don't have the newest M chips, which Apple is skipping to get to what they've been developing in the background for artificial intelligence. Yeah.
So Qwen 3.6 is a 27 billion parameter, so it's a pretty small one, right? That is approximately 54 gigabytes. And thanks to these optimization techniques, they have been able to have it under 4 gigabytes, which actually enabled it to run locally on an iPhone 17 Pro. And this is exactly, Michael, what we've been speaking about like for the last 2 weeks. I think since Apple made this announcement of we are going to put much more money into Apple AI, which is they are going to start small. That's exactly where they are going to start. They are going to give you a model that's just enough to do simple stuff, but to get us used to the behavior, to get actually us sure of 0.1% in the tech bubble, but more importantly, the 19.9% of the people who didn't install Cloud Code because it's way too complex for them. These people, they are going to do very simple stuff on their own device AI, and that's going to be the first time that they access so much intelligence, and through Apple OS S, like with an S, macro S,
with all their OS
with all the OSCs across all the devices that they have, they are going to use that as the way to actually get dev access to people to the AI itself. That is going to become the orchestrator itself, is going to be built in, and people are going to use their first agent AI through the OS itself, doing some simple stuff at first. I really see a subscription that will be attached to that to have access to more compute through the cloud. I think that would make ton of sense. Like you can use the 27 billion parameter model for free, locally, but you can also connect to Grok 4.5 with a $20 per month subscription and do much more stuff. I think that would make ton of sense. And yeah, I think we should do something like that. But at first, they will give people a little AI agent that can do just enough. Send the text to Michael, change the calendar meeting, maybe draft an email. Like out of the 900 things we do per day, it may be enough to do like 400 or 500.
Half of them, yeah.
Maybe half of them, because it's very simple and it's straightforward. And I think Apple is growing at this market that is gigantic. It's absolutely massive. And it is once again a big threat to OpenAI and to Anthropic, because if these markets get access to AI agents through their Apple OSs, one of them, and then they can upgrade to the stronger version through the Apple AI subscription, they are just not going to install Cloud Codecs. Never. Like, it's just never going to happen. So
imagine if on device also means on your own laptop.
Yeah. That's
what's the benefit to Apple? Remember, we talk a lot about like where is the value in the value chain going to accrue?
Yes.
Well, Apple can sell more memory, they can sell more storage, and they can sell more laptops, they can sell more iPhones. Like right now, when I buy an iPhone, I don't upgrade the memory because I don't need it, and I never upgrade the storage because I'm not I'm not like 16 years old. I'm not taking 1,000 pictures of everything I eat, and I don't have a dog, and I don't have a baby, so like I have no reason to take pictures, and I'm not taking selfies because when you're this good looking, people are taking pictures of you, so you don't need to take your own pictures. But the point is, now I may need to buy more memory.
Yes, that's a very good point. Very, very good point.
And think about how you orchestrate stuff as well for our business. I remember sitting with you tons of times, and I'm like, "Hey, can we get this thing fixed?" And you're like, "Give me 1 second," and you're on your phone doing it. But it's not on device.
No,
it's going to the cloud. And from a privacy perspective, particularly for big companies that are going to use
another good point,
AI to do research, or that just have like GDPR rules, or again, if it's a legal company, that if it's a law firm, all that data has to be protected. And if you can do it on device, it means you're gonna have to store more of that information on device as well. And that means that data is gonna have to be protected. And by definition, on an Apple device, it's very protected, or at least meant to be very protected. And once they can do that, again, it just changes the entire paradigm, yeah?
And company already do that. We had the guest on our podcast who told us people do not buy Anthropic, do not buy OpenAI because they don't want to share their data with them. So they use us, like the company itself, to help them build the data layer inside their company on their own servers, and then use open weight models to actually do the task that they want to do without sending data to anyone, right? So it's already happening, right? Like, it's not something absolutely crazy. I know we have many crazy ideas, and we always talk about like how the future can be, but this is not like the data privacy, that's the weight of not sharing data, is actually something real, and it's already happening. And definitely Apple lead the way there. Like, Apple is a trusted brand when it comes to data privacy and not that data sharing. And that opened like a potential massive massive market for them, right? Massive. I mean, not really open, because they are already pretty big in enterprises and
but it's another use case. It's another reason to have tie-in for the iPhone, right? And for the iPad. I mean, because for me, I was thinking more like an iPad, because the iPad can have a bigger chip and it can have a bigger battery in it, and it has all the functionality of an iPhone except the phone part. But who makes calls anymore, right? So it doesn't really matter.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ian. Thank you for coming, and see you tomorrow. But
can I make another point too, Martin, about compression?
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
So when MP3s first came out, the music quality wasn't as good.
Okay.
because a lot of that was compressed off of CDs and DVDs. Yeah.
Okay. I was too young to remember, but so yes, maybe you tell us.
Well, you were having cereal for breakfast in
Exactly.
France.
To me, I think the first MP3 that I listened were great already. I came at the point where it was good.
But that's the point. Is
Yes.
that compression over time is it's just a math problem.
Yes,
I mean,
it's
it's
just my
more
problem.
sophisticated than that. It's more complex than that. But at some level, no one's tried to do compression up until now on these things at the same scale that they're trying to do here. And again, it's just one vector into making this. So if the chips get better and cheaper, if the compute gets better and cheaper, if the throughput gets better, and the compression and all these things come together, and they generally do at the same time, that's going to make this on-device stuff way more transformational. And again, Apple's going to win because they do what they always do. They just wait to see how the market's going to play out. They don't spend a ton of money competing as the market's developing. They're like, oh, okay, phones are going to be a big deal. We can make a better phone now that we know how they work. And we've thought that they're terrible up until now. We have an idea and a way to make a better one. And they're doing the same thing with AI. They tried at the beginning to do the Apple Intelligence, and they're like, that's a huge fail. And I'm sure internally they were like, stop.
Yeah.
Let's do this the Apple way. And now they could flip the bid, and this could work really, really well for them. Yeah.
I think to me, this is the best idea we've ever seen into AI. Like really, this idea of putting the orchestrator into the OS, do on-device AI, put a subscription for more. That's the best idea. I don't see anything better than that, because this is something, Michael, once again, my mom is going to buy. She will understand. She will understand. You know, this is the key for me here, right? Like, if tomorrow you try to explain to your mom, like, how to use an AI agent, it's a nightmare. She's not going to install Codex and Claude and open Claude and then let her Mac Mini run
I could just see your mom do that.
24/7.
When I bought a Mac Mini specifically to run OpenClaw, I'm trying to do some orchestration for agentic AI to do agentic purchasing and agentic paying for stuff. Can you help me with that? You're like, Mom, have you lost your mind?
Exactly. It's like, this is never going to happen, right? Like
Not gonna happen.
And I use my mom as a proxy for 99% of the population.
Yeah.
But she will understand. Apple knows how to package it in a simple way, and they have the distribution. And my mom has an iPhone, so she will see the offer, right? She will see.
Her life actually doesn't have to change. She just has
She doesn't have to change anything. She just need to upgrade iPhone to, I don't know, to like OS. I don't know which one we have right now, but maybe the one in 2 or 3 versions, right? Like, she will just do the upgrade as she always do, and then Apple will have a chance to show her something new, right? She will see the offer. She will see the new behavior, and she will be able to try that. And they are going to put agentic AI in the hand of billions of people overnight, right?
If that's the case, Martin, if this on-device thing actually works and comes to fruition, what does it do? Let's just say this explicitly, right? If you can have a local model that's running on device that actually gives you high quality results,
yes,
and that can do its stuff that's not on a centralized data center, it doesn't eliminate cloud AI per se. But doesn't it sort of mitigate the necessity for this rapid build out of gigantic AI data centers? If the phone itself becomes sort of a distributed mechanism for the ability to compute, do you know what I mean?
If tomorrow we can install Grok 5.4, Meta Muse Spark 1.1, GLM 5.2, OpenAI GPT-6. I just assume they will go open source or
Next month, for sure.
or open weight as well, or Claude Opus 9, because they are still going to believe they can sell us the API cost after everybody. Everybody will be open weight. But if tomorrow we can install a model that is just like this, even if the frontier is 6 months ahead, right? But if we can install the open weight model of today, the equivalent is Opus 4.8 of today, even 4.6 was really great three months ago, I would say yes. I would say if they find a way to compress not Queen 3.6, but GLM 5.2, and they made that work on a MacBook Pro, yes, I think this is going to be another massive big moment, because then it's going to be free, then it's going to run offline, then you don't share any of your data, and plus if I can fine tune the model to put my data into the model, because once again, like here there is like really this stupid thing in a way where we have this big model, we try to compress them to make them work on device,
Right.
but 90% of the model we never use it.
Right.
So actually, like here, like there is some optimization that can be done, right? Like what about with a GLM 5.2, 2 point, I mean, they have multiple trillion parameters, and we remove everything that we don't need, right? And then it becomes maybe just a 500 gigabytes model. And so now we have a 500 gigabytes problem and not a 2000 gigabytes problem. So now it's a much smaller problem that may be solved much sooner. So that's also a route I think that they should consider, and that is possible. So how do we get there? Do we actually build models without everything and then we can add what we need, or can we just like remove stuff from build models? I don't know, right? Like that's going to be for the AI researcher, but I think this is definitely a possibility. Yeah.
So a few things. First of all, GLM 5.2, I just looked it up, 700 and let's say 50 billion parameters. But because it utilizes mixture of expertise, so the MOE architecture, it's really only using like 40 billion parameters for any one token. 40 billion. Not that different than Quen 3.6. But here's the point, Martin. If you were a mathematician and you wanted to understand how compression worked, you would try first on Quen.
Yes. You
because it's easier.
Yes.
You just, as a proof of concept, you'd go, give me just a small, effective, good model that's going to give me decent enough results. See if I can get it to run an iPhone 17 Pro. And then let's take what we learned there and then extrapolate that out to GLM 5.2, whatever it is at the time you choose to do that. And then you can deal with a model that has MOE architecture that has 750 billion and maybe at the time 1 trillion parameters, but still is only using 50 or 60 billion of them. And now you've got kick arse compression and power that can now make your models work on device.
And actually, you are right. Maybe we're not that far, actually. Maybe it's not going to be that long.
Maybe they're just testing here. Maybe they're just like, look, what's the best model we can test this on to optimize this stuff? And they went, let's just use Quen.
You're right. You're right. Actually, maybe we are 6 months away, and not 2 years away, to actually be able to install GLM 5.2, right? Like if they architect like the way that you explained, right? Maybe we are actually much closer to make that work.
And remember, Apple's not coming out with their M6 chips. They're going directly to M7 Pro and M7 Max. Well, they're coming out with M6 regular chips, but they're coming out with M7 Pro and M7 Max that are specifically designed to handle AI and probably specifically designed to handle AI. I always want to say on-prem, but I mean on device. Yeah.
Yes, which means maybe they see something as well.
Yeah, because maybe they're like testing with Quen, they already know something we don't know.
Exactly. Maybe they're like, oh wait, it works. Actually, can we make it work with GLM 5.2? Yes, but we need the A7. Actually, wait, what? We can make it work with A7 right now.
M7.
Sorry, with the M7 right now, like in 2 months. I mean, if that happens, Michael, like if in 2 months, Apple say you can run a model as big as GLM 5.2 on your MacBook Pro that goes out in September. Oh my God. I think this is just...
I'm going to have to buy another laptop, which then I'm going to give to you. Like, I don't understand what's going on here. Happy birthday, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. My birthday is in October, so
I know.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Please, Apple, make this thing work. But but I really wonder like how far we are, right? Like I really wonder like if it's a 6 month thing, a 2 years thing, a 10 years thing, never thing maybe as well. It feels unlikely though that it's never going to happen, but
I'm telling you, I think it's like an 18-month thing.
Well, if it's 18 months, imagine if it's 18 months, this is going to change the landscape entirely, even for companies. Like what do you want? Do you want to use like all the crazy stuff that are happening right now with Anthropic, or do you want to buy your MacBook Pro that comes with model that just works, like what's easier, what is more stable?
I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen, Martin. what is the operating system that Anthropic and OpenAI use? Oh, right, they don't have one.
They don't have operating system.
They don't have one, right? But Apple does, and they've got multiple operating systems. So they're probably not going to put like agentic AI on Apple TV, although maybe they will. But for iOS, for iPad OS, and for Mac OS, you're right. They're going to integrate this into the operating system because it's going to get integrated into their chip stack, and that means that the device itself is going to be the orchestration layer, excuse me. And then I can carry my iPad around, which I prefer to then carrying my laptop around. And maybe I'll get a keyboard for it because it's easier to type on that. But then this becomes a super useful and super powerful device.
Exactly. And then you can just manage your emails through your agents, look for a place to go tomorrow through your agents. Like you can just ask your AI agents to actually do stuff for you through macOS. This is going to be transformational for so many
but also
people,
because
right?
they're based on the same kernel as well, Martin. That means that I can actually take stuff that's running on my iPad and easily switch it to running on my Mac Mini or onto my Mac laptop. Yeah.
Which may argue for a subscription as well, because if you want things to happen when you sleep, for example, either you leave your device on. For example, that's what we do with Mac Mini, right? It's just always on, so it runs like a server. Or Apple can say, look, we can also run your task in the cloud, and so then it just run like for you basically. And so then they are going to start selling compute by actually selling the hosting of the AI that you actually run, and that would make sense. Like tomorrow, if I can turn off my Mac Mini and I need to pay $10, like actually let's just say it this way: if I don't have a Mac Mini, or if I don't want to use my Mac Mini as a server, I can reinstall everything we have on a VPS that is going to cost me $10 or $20 per month.
Exactly.
So we already have a solution. It's not something new at all, right?
No.
It's on a VPS. It's going to be the exact same flow, exact same type of problems and opportunities than hosting a website. It's going to be the exact same thing, and just it's exactly the same as hosting an app, a SaaS, and we know how to do this very, very, very well. We know how to price it. We know how to do it at scale. We know how to do it safe. That's how we are running like most of the internet. It's all on servers. So that's why, like, maybe in 5 years, the only way that actually we charge for AI is just to charge for a VPS, or just to charge for a
so this was going to be my next point that's going to agree with yours, is that we're going to look at what we talked about today, the Muse Spark pricing and the SpaceXAI through Grok pricing as quaint, because it's going to be so much cheaper than that, because you're right, Apple's going to have a subscription that's going to require way less compute because it's going to be able to do it on your device.
Yes, we're just going to do it on your device, and then either for 24/7 work, then it runs in the cloud, or at first they give you what they cannot put on device in the cloud as well, right? And so we're gonna have this what's the word, like we're gonna have this moment in time where we have as much as we can on device and all the rest of the power then through a cloud offering with like a $20 subscription, or a $50 that we would pay for. Definitely. If tomorrow, like, I mean, let's go back 6 months ago. Okay, let's go back 6 months ago, before I took my cloud subscription max $200 per month plan. I could have bought an Apple subscription at $200 that give me access to both on-device AI plus all the open weight model. That would have been very possible. The only reason why I didn't buy it is because it doesn't exist. But I really see something like this happening in the very near future through GoDaddy, through Ionos, through all the people who already sell websites, so they already know how to host stuff. They are going to host everything that we can't run on device. Like, we are going to see two worlds: the thing that we can run on device, the thing that we can't, and everything that we can't yet, because this is going to get more more and more optimized over time. We are just going to be able to access it with a $20, $50, $100, maybe $200 a subscription based on how much we need through the guys who already sell subscription to host websites. And that is going to be massive, and that already works, that already have global coverage. Like nobody is like in the world, I need to host a website, I have no solution for it. No, that doesn't exist. There is a cloud provider in every country in the world. They made their platform very easy to use, very easy to access. They are well known, they are safe, they are everything fine. We are going to buy AI from them as well sometime soon.
Absolutely. Okay, Martin. Let's just ask the chat if they have any more questions. I think we've covered this really, really well tonight, actually. And if that's okay with you, does anybody in the chat have any more questions for us tonight? Happy to answer them all.
Yes, maybe let's wait a little bit because we have a lot of people tonight with us. Thank you very much for joining. Like while you write your question, maybe we can do a little bit of a summary for the show. Like we talk about the latest tech news of the day, right? And we analyze them. And we are live every day at 11 a.m. Eastern time.
And we try to take we try to have opinions that nobody else have. We don't make them up to just be different, but we do, because we have a different perspective on this stuff. We do think that what we talk about in a way that's different than the way most people talk about this stuff. And the other thing that we don't do is we're not shilling for any particular product in the AI space. We're just trying to have a sort of cold view on, like, does this work? Will it work? And even if it's working today, will it work tomorrow? And then historically, do we have precedent for the way these things look? Do they look like anything else we've ever seen before? And if they do, right, again, we always say this, history doesn't repeat itself, it just rhymes. And we're trying to figure out with what it's rhyming.
Yes.
And I think that that's actually really important in this context, because while the product itself may be new, cycles end up being very, very similar, if not exactly the same. Yeah. And that's important. And I think that's one of the things that where we excel.
Yep. And maybe also to give you a little bit more context, like we use AI into our own business constantly, right? Like we have really 10x our own business, which is basically creating podcasts like this. That's what we do with Michael all day long. And it's been now matter what 3 or 4 years, right? But we are like fully full-time just doing podcasts together. And our business has literally 10x in the last 6 months, just thanks to AI and agentic AI. So we use
so we're not talking about stuff we don't know about, and we're not talking about stuff we don't use.
Exactly. We have AI agents that run 24/7, and we have tens of them. Like really, we have a lot of our workflows that are right now managed, handled, augmented with AI. We wouldn't be able to do everything that we do today without AI. And so that's why we are really deeply, like really big users of all these stuff ourselves. We build every day with AI, and we can see the impact on our business. It has really big impact. And so, and in full transparency, in case you have any question, you can always ask me. I am the one also who build all the AI for our company. We don't have a team, we don't have a CTO. I'm the CTO.
So Martin, I think this is actually really important to note to people that are listening and watching, and that is that you hear a bunch of rumors out there about 1-man or 2-man companies building something really big, and then at the end of the day, you find out there are 11 other people or 15 other people working there. That's not the case here.
Yeah, no, for us, we are really just me and Michael and ton of AI everywhere. So that's why I'm super happy always to talk about the use cases, how we use AI, what we do, and that's really, really important for us once again. So that's why we really pay close attention to all of these things, and we use it ourselves. And maybe Michael, you can give us a little bit of your background as well, and then we can stop just for people to know why you know so much about the history of tech and business, because that's also something very important to just put things into context, I think.
So I literally worked at Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs in Tokyo for over 20 years, and I was the guy who always took technology and made our business more productive. I was not a programmer, but I was just very, very tech interested. And if new technology was out there, I was always the first guy to raise my hand and say, how can we automate this? And how can we automate that? And then how can we make our business, as Martin said, 10 times bigger, 20 times bigger, more profitable, more efficient, more productive? And I've seen so many of these tech cycles that when I see something that looks familiar to something else, you can hear me actually typing to say, what was the company that was actually doing that? When were they found? We did that with Sun Microsystems today. Probably a company that nobody's heard of, but nobody on this chat has heard of. But if you go look at it, you can see their arc was very similar to what's happening with OpenAI and Anthropic. And it seemed back then that they were just going to take everything over. And yet, as soon as somebody open source, which is similar to the open weight that we were talking about earlier, happened, they literally went away, and almost overnight. So you have to put this is one of the reasons why Martin and I are really good about putting this stuff into context and understanding that, like, if you take a long view on this, or even now, because things are moving much faster than they used to, a short to medium term view, you can get a way better sense for where things are heading and where things are going if you're not so deep in the minutia that you can't see the forest for the trees.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I just wanted to do a quick intro. So that's why, just you have any questions in case you want us, to also like share opinions, right? Like we really like to have different opinions on the show, different point of view. Also, if you have like different insights.
If you're here.
Yes. So that's why if you have also some insight about how you use AI, how AI is deployed into your company, what are the problems that you see, what are the potential solutions that you imagine as well, please share it with us in the comment. We love to discuss them. We love to see, like, to actually have more information, right, from people from all around the world. We really often have guests on our show as well who explain to us what they see and how they use AI. And so if you want to share as well with us, then we would be super happy to discuss it, to share ideas and share opinions. That's why we are doing this show.
Absolutely. Okay, Martin. Thank you again, everybody, for doing this. And as Martin said, leave us comments. Give us a thumbs up on the video. It really helps us out. But also leave us comments everywhere. I try to go through all the comments. Martin tries to go through the comments too. When we're live, if you put something in the chat, you can see us and hear us responding directly to it when it comes. We'll try to do that as much as possible. And also, after we publish, if you leave comments there, it's super helpful for us. We know, like I always like to say, I know a lot of things, but there's way more things that I don't know. And I love getting new perspectives from people that have a different experience than I do. Follow us on X, follow us on Instagram, follow us on LinkedIn. And as Martin said earlier, we are back every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And just to be clear, my name is Michael Wade. So I'm going to say bye for now. Martin, go for it.
Yes, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. Super cool tonight. Great topics. And we'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time.
Awesome.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye for now.